personality and an actress, and I meet a lot of guys going to like a GlamourCon convention or a signing or a movie premiere, and I get people who come up to me and have no social skills whatsoever. So I wrote it so it could be for that guy who lives in his mother's basement and only, has me as his virtual girlfriend ever, and cannot speak to women in public, a live, actual, attractive woman, all the way to if you have a girl and you want to do this and this and this and this, and you could skip a chapter maybe if you don't need it, but then you get to the part of, okay, there's this really hot chick and she's out of my league and I'm kind of nervous, so how do I talk to her? What do I do? And maybe you get some helpful hints. Or also all the way to the point of, okay, you have a great girl, but you want to make sure you keep her happy in the bedroom. What are some ideas to keep that sexy, spiced up, maybe try something that you haven't tried before to keep her interested? So, yes, it was from dating guys who, from the guy who texts you at 9 p.m. going, what are you doing later? Not good, ask her out, protocol, right. To the guy who... go ahead.
We wanted to go there with the texting because the world has changed so much. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but the world has changed so much. And we were talking prior, if we had text messaging when we were growing up, it would have been so easy to get a date. I mean, Facebook, you don't even have to talk anymore. So where does text messaging fit into the whole dating world in 2013 from a woman's perspective?
Well, I think it's a great way to flirt, but you can't text with a woman unless you have her phone number. So you still have to ask for those 7 digits to be able to connect to that woman. So it's still the same old-fashioned foundation of the basics. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm Ty. You're really cute. I'd like to ask you for dinner sometime. Can I have your phone number? If she gives you your phone number, you can text her later and say, so nice to meet you. I'll call you later for dinner. I still think you should call and talk to the person or talk face-to-face, even better. If a girl doesn't give you her phone number to be able to text and says, oh, just look me up on Facebook, or here's my Twitter account, or, well, here's my card with my email address, it's not intimate enough. So you still have to get those 7 digits, like we did, when did the telephone get invented, by the way? When did these cell phones come out?
The cell phone or Alexander
Before
Graham
our
Bell?
time.
Yes.
But yeah, before our time. But it's still the same thing. And of course, as you have read my book, when you're interacting with a woman, you want to be focused on her, not, Facebook and tweeting and taking an Instagram photo of you guys together to brag to your friends and all of that. Until down the road, talk like normal people.
Yeah, exactly. And you had
look
some great
stuff. Look in each other's eyes.
Dare to be romantic, right?
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
We forget sometimes.
Nick and I talk a lot about music on the show. This was a hoot when I read about your sex soundtrack. It was hilarious. She's got Tom Petty in her sex soundtrack, and that's okay with me.
I'm a rock and roll girl.
Here comes my girl.
So.
Nice.
I love that.
Petty's good.
Yeah, it's an ode. It's like you want to pick things that are kind of middle of the road, unless you know exactly what she likes because you've talked about it on dates, and hopefully by the time you get her into a sex soundtrack kind of situation, whether it be I always say there's a third date rule, a sure thing date. If you're alone together on a third date at your house, at a hotel room, or on a weekend away, you're having sex. So you better have your soundtrack ready. Hopefully you know her well enough to know what she likes, but if not, I do give suggestions in my book, Score How to Win the Girl of Your Dreams.
And Nick, just so you know, no Bette Midler, okay? That is off the table.
No Barry Manilow.
Yeah, that is off.
Oh my God. My heart will go on stuff. My point being that you don't want to play any of that sappy romantic stuff, that like Celine Dion crap. I hate that stuff. Or mashups of Glee that makes me think that you're gay. You know what I mean? Stick to the sexy, manly stuff.
And Nick, you're going to have to ditch the corduroy jacket. I'm sorry, my friend. No, that's not working according to Kira.
Unless you're a super hipster and can pull it off.
I don't know many guys that can pull off corduroy or seersucker, Kira.
Jason Schwartzman.
There you go. There you go. That's a good call. Good call. So, what made you decide to just finally just sit down and pen the book? Was it something that had been on your mind for quite some time, or was there just one night you're laying there and thinking, you know what, I can give better advice than most of these clowns out there?
Well, I'm happily married, as you know.
Right.
I married Bob Lorsch, Beverly Hills businessman. He's the CEO of My Medical Records. If you go to mymedicalrecords.com, it's a personal health record. I'm the spokesperson for that, you know. So I had all these girlfriends saying, you know, I'm having these, how did you do it? How did you meet a guy? I mean, you know, these guys don't know what to do. And I said, well, I found a guy. He doesn't always know exactly what to do, but what he didn't do right, I fixed. And for the most part, he did everything. He did everything right. He asked me out. He was persistent. He was a gentleman, and he made me feel like I was important. So when I started giving advice to my friends, and then I wrote an article for women, and then I realized it wasn't the women that needed the advice; it was the men, because there are so many books out there. How to get married in 30 days, how to find the man of your dreams. There was never one for guys written from a woman's point of view. And I had the hardest time publishing this book because people were like, men don't want to be told what to do, men don't read books like this. I said, well, what if I make it a really fun, sexy, short read that's and my audience coming from Playboy is men. And it's turned out to be between all the radio shows I do like you, having Howard Stern News talk about the book, and having just being out there on the internet and getting so many guys saying this helped me. It's turned out to be a success. But I did it because my girlfriend said that the guys did everything wrong. And I said, well, between the experience that I've had of guys doing everything wrong and some, like my husband, who did things right, I'm going to put together a book. And you know what? I just sat down and wrote it over last summer, actually a couple summers ago, and I just sat down by the pool and I wrote every day. It came easy. It was fun.
It may have been true years ago, men don't like to be told what to do. Well, they still don't like to be told what to do today. Maybe most
Unless
men.
Unless we're in latex and high heel boots and have a whip in our hand and have our everything put up properly.
No, but the truth, yes, you're right. But the truth be told, also, the internet has made it easier for men to go out and buy a book like that, where they don't have to be embarrassed walking up to the counter. I'm a douchebag and I can't, get a date. I could go online and buy it. No one knows, and take you to bed with me every night, Kira.
Yeah, and the book is, it's got sexy stories, and it's a fun read, and every guy I give it to says they really enjoy it, just as it's fun to read. They got it as entertainment, not actually that, oh, I don't know how to get a girl. A lot of my super attractive or successful, even married men that I know, got it because it's a fun, easy, entertaining read, or they get one and they give it to their friend or their brother or their whatever, who they think it might help, but they say, hey, read this, it's kind of cute, it's fun.
It was a lot of fun, Kira. It was, and I've had the same girlfriend now for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
good
she got
for
it.
you. Congratulations. You must be doing lots of things right.
Yeah, we work at it. But there's also interesting tidbits in your book about retaining your relationship, keeping it healthy. Do you want to discuss some of those with us? What are the keys to maintaining?
Kind of the basic, I don't want to say boring, but the basic 101 stuff. Like, your woman is somebody who on the 100th date should be treated as if she were as special as the first date. She's an independent woman, I'm sure, who doesn't need you. She chose you. And she's not a little doll you can dress up and boss around. She's a smart woman who's a sex goddess, right? She is a delicate flower that you want to protect, right? And you have to remind her that you think she's beautiful and intelligent, and not just tell her, but show her, and not just by, doing all the right things that I tell you in my book, The 5 Things You Must Do to Keep Your Woman Happy in Bed. Those are important.
They're very important.
The silly things like listening to what she says, and the scoring the girl is just the beginning. You have to keep the effort going on, and you have to open the door for her, and you still have to make her feel beautiful, and you have to make sure that that, you know, you don't take phone calls all through dinner. I hope my husband's listening because he's done that lately. He's in the doghouse because he was a half an hour late for dinner, and then he spent half of dinner leaving the table to get on the phone. Did you think he got laid that night?
No.
No.
Maybe.
So so the women listening out there too, you have to set up these boundaries of what works and what doesn't work.
But you mentioned doghouse. Now, how's this for a segue? Let's talk about your love of pets and pet adoption. How did you and your husband Bob Lorsch get involved in that? I know you do quite a bit with this.
Well, before Bob, I lived in a little kind of transitional neighborhood in Los Angeles called Echo Park, and there was a lot of stray cats. And there kept being more and more stray cats. And I went to the neighbors and said, "Hey, is this your cat? Have you fixed your cat? Because this cat has become 5 cats, so now we need to fix all 5 cats." So what happened initially to me is I had a stray cat who was somebody's cat that they didn't spay or neuter, have 5 babies in my yard. So all of a sudden I had 5 cats. So I started just like you do in any situation. You start in your neighborhood, you start in your community, and I went door to door saying, if you have animals, I will take your animals and go get them spayed or neutered. Or if you know of an animal who's a stray, please send them my way. I'll come over with the Fix Nation or the Stray Cat Alliance, and I will fix them. Otherwise, I would have, at the end of the day, I'd be feeding my stray cats, the raccoons that came and stole their food, then all the neighbor dogs who were trying to, eat the cats to get to the food, along with the possums and everything else. So just to, maintain normalcy, I decided to get into just spay and neuter. When I married my husband and I brought the mama cat that I fixed and 1 boy and 1 girl of hers to live with us when I moved in with him, he had a dog. He said, well, fine, as long as Charlie is good with the cats. Of course, Charlie, our big shepherd lab, decided to chase my 3 black cats up the chimney, and then they came down and stomped all over his beautiful white French provincial furniture. But that's a whole nother story. We almost got a divorce. But from there, one of my best girlfriends, Kim Sill, who you may know as an actress, Kim Dawson, if you're a fan of mine from years, Ty.
Yeah.
Kim Dawson, she was the big dog rescue person. And she had started a shelter-only pet shop called Shelter Hope Pet Shop. So they would find rescue dogs, either dogs off the street or dogs that were going to be put down in a kill shelter, go in, choose some dogs that they could help, and find them new homes after giving them shots, getting them fixed, so that they would take dogs on death row and find them new homes. We decided that we wanted to get a companion to our dog Charlie since right before we got married, Bob had lost his dog Molly. So we decided we were going to adopt an older shelter dog to be a companion to Charlie, and we did it through her first pet shop that she did. And we went in and we found Mindy, and she was a Corgi Chow dog who was left in her house because the house was foreclosed upon. And this is just one story, but this happens every day. And there millions and millions and millions of animals are put down in shelters. They left the dog because they moved and they were moving into an apartment and they couldn't take the dog. It's a 5-year-old family dog who had a family that left it at a shelter that it was going to be put down. God. Kim went in and got the dog, and it made me aware that, okay, now I'm not only do I have the dog, now I'm not the spokesperson, but I have to share my story and share the example of don't go buy a little puppy mill dog and keep the perpetuation going of people buying dogs and then getting tired of them and giving them back to the shelter and putting them down. Or same with the cats. With the spay and neuter, it's the same with the dogs. You can't just let the babies have babies because there's not enough homes for the babies. So anyway, long story short, a lot of the proceeds from my book, if you go to Score, How to Win the Girl of Your Dreams and buy my book, I just give the money to the dogs for the Shelter Hope Pet Shop. And I now have 4 cats and another shelter dog, 3 dogs. go to shelterhopepetshop.org. If you need a dog, instead of, buying one from a pet shop, you can give a donation and get a beautiful, and there's poodles and shih tzus and, all these dogs that are fancy designer dogs. And I do the CBS